Okay, the next song up is "For the Love of God," and I'd be happy to tell you about this song. It was one of those moments where I was walking out of my studio, and I saw an acoustic guitar sitting against the bed, and sometimes you just kind of know when something's going to happen, an inspiration for something. And I picked up the guitar, and I played this chord, and I just sang this melody, and luckily it resonated with me. So as soon as I feel like there's something that could be good there, I grab tape recorder and I document it. So I just started singing. So the melody was sung, it wasn't played. So it came from a different place than my fingers. And when you search for melodies in your inner ear as opposed to what your fingers play, you're going to get something different. Because a lot of times your fingers move with the memory, with finger memory, which is your favorite riffs, scales, stuff like that. But when you're forced to use your ear to create a melody, it's different. And it can be very lovely. In this case, I thought it came out very sweet. And it was it's like liberty, finding where the right chord is for the melody. I know I hit it right there, and then just naturally I went. I knew what the melody should be. I wasn't quite sure of the chords. There it is. Can't be anything else. That is the only thing it could be, and I knew it when I hit it. And you can find that you'll know it. You'll just know. If you're connected with your inner ear. Otherwise, you're meandering nowhere. And sometimes I went to wrong chords, but eventually the melody came out. And I sang it into a little cassette player, and it sat on the shelf for many years. And then when I was doing Passion and Warfare, I thought, what would have happened to that song? And that's all I had, was that much of it. But I knew there was a seed there. And I highly recommend that if you're a songwriter, you do everything you can whenever you feel a little bit of inspiration, something that's there, even if it's not great, if you don't second guess yourself. Just capture it. Just capture the. I've got my iPhone. It's not with me right now, but I've got probably thousands of little snippets of ideas. Some of them are pure crap, but some of them turned into songs that I've worked on and released, such as "For the Love of God," but that was recorded on a cassette player. Don't underestimate the power of your own inspiration, and be aware of it. Be on guard for it. Be receptive. When you're in that receptive mode, step 3, it's gonna come. Are you ready to grab it? Or are you telling yourself, no, that's not it, that's not good enough, or whatever, Just grab it somehow. And you never know. And that's how that melody came out. But there was something about it that I knew was kind of rich and special, because even when I was singing it, I felt very moved. Now it moved me, and I'm the only person I had to think about. And you're the only person you have to think about when you write something. Does it move you? I didn't know if it would move anybody else. As a matter of fact, when I finished it, the first person I played it for said, well, it's kind of long, it's kind of wanky, I don't know. They had a tin ear. So if I would have taken their advice, that song wouldn't have appeared on the record. Now, recording it was a real challenge, because I was in the midst of getting ready to go on tour with Whitesnake. And here's a great technique I would recommend to anybody that really wants to invent new, fresh, unique things in their musical guitar voice. And I do this all the time. It's my favorite thing to do. I take a vamp like this, like "For the Love of God." I recently did it on a new track and came out with some really interesting things. And I just soloed over it for quite a long period of time, like an hour, 2 hours, for a couple of days. And then I listen back, and I try to find things that have like a little juice in them, that have a little bit of they got it like an energy that's kind of cool. That's different. And then I grab that and I work on it, and I develop it into something. And next thing you know, you have a new unique thing for your vocabulary. And then you string them together, and you got something that's just totally different for you. And that's what I did with this song. It was slow, kind of at first, listening to each section and playing it until something came out that wasn't just a jam solo, you know what I mean? Just like a repetition of my previous riffs. It was a jam solo to a degree, but it was looking for new stuff. So once I got that, then I recorded each section and focused on making each section right. And each section had a riff in it that was a little bit different than what I would normally do. But then at the end, when the song was done, I listened to it, and it sounded pieced together. It sounded like one section pieced together, another section pieced together. So I knew what I needed to do was learn it all and make it natural, and then just record it. So that's what I did. I learned basic outline of these unique little riffs. And then I got them to the point where they just felt natural. And then I just did the solo. And I think it was 2 or 3 takes, and then I chopped it together, or comped it together back then, as they say. And that's how the song came about. But I would like to take maybe some time and actually go through this song and show you some of the techniques that came up. I'll play through it, and then I'll stop and kind of show you some of the thoughts on some of the riffs. At first, I just wanted that melody to sing without any interruptions of vibrato, really, or bending notes or anything. I wanted that neck position pickup, just that warm, just like Liberty, without any real movements. So even the opening riff in this song, it doesn't even fall on the guitar that easily because it came from my ear, and I have to switch the notes without any interruption in the note so that I can get to. And I've played it differently through the years, but that's the way it is now. And here's the track, basically. And then to contrast, for the second verse, I changed the pickup, and now I phrase it a lot differently, a lot more aggressively, so that it has some place to go. So instead of the very flat kind of playing, then it turns into. A couple of riffs in there that are kind of interesting. I see it's very flattering. I see a lot of people, young people playing this song, and some of them are really good. But there's nuances that I think maybe are just specific to the way I play. I can share some of them to maybe inspire you to use them and expand upon them, or come up with your own. I think it's always important to raise your own bar by using the aid of your influences. So if someone like myself is an inspiration to you, take what I do way beyond what I do in your own way. That's how it's always been, and it will be required of you to do the same thing, and also the people that come after you. So anyway, that second verse, I know it's a nuance, but I love doing it. It's where I hit the note and I start slight vibrato and then get really wild. So subtle, but fun. And then again. Now on this next one here, I just wanted that harmonic to be right in the right spot. See where it goes from there. Riff like that is kind of nice. There's a lot of phrasing in it. This is what I mean by taking the technique and then going deeper. Because the riff is really... I mean, that's how I hear a lot of people play it. But when I play it, if you put your attention in the note, you become the note. And then it takes on a different dimension. Can't really explain it, you just got to do it. So with something like that, see, all those little nuances help phrase and shape the note. And that's a sound, you know? It's not... And it's a big difference. Back then I was really into this kind of thing. Teenagers do that. Okay, so that little riff there is, I know it seems subtle. Every night I play this song, and I've played it virtually every show I've done since the record came out 30, 25 years ago. I never get tired of it. I never get tired. And it's because if you put your attention into what you're playing, there's no end to how deep you can get into the melody. And certain little riffs that through the years have become very rich for me, even though they just might go over everybody's head, I'm totally one with, that's the only way to explain it, I become totally one with the note when it happens, because everything in you is in the note. And this one riff that goes... simple, stupid. It's profound to me. And I look forward every night to doing that. I don't know why, but the point I'm making is it's okay to get really, really personal about something that's just simple, that maybe nobody else even knows. Because what you end up discovering is they feel it. And I really enjoy that little quirky stuff that comes out of my playing sometimes, like, and that's just the way that the tailpiece is set up on the pickup, that it kind of frets itself out, and it creates that little squeak. Now something like that is just a simple phrasing that works really well. Finding those harmonics. You'd be surprised how tricky that is. I've never seen anybody do it when they are playing this song, maybe because their whammy bar isn't set up for it, but it's just a different way of phrasing that melody. You know, that melody, those two notes, they happen many times, and each time they're a little different. And then this time I went, it's hard to grab with the bar, but it's just another way of phrasing it so it sounds unique. So you can get that. Now, what I might do is make an exercise out of that and make a riff out of it by just sitting around for a while going. That's kind of cool. Okay, so now like a riff like that, I've never done it before. I see the value in it, and if I was to just sit and work on that for a while, all sorts of weird stuff would start coming out that I could use places. And that's how I do it. If you listen to For the Love of God, you'll hear all these little nuances that are just part of the phrasing of the melody that give it a color, it gives it a flavor. And one of the interesting things about this song that's kind of seemed to have drifted into folklore is I went through various periods in my life where I was studying all these different thoughts and practices and stuff like that. And there was this really great bookstore in Hollywood that was called the Bodhi Tree. And it was like a metaphysical bookstore with everything in it that you could imagine. And I used to live in this place. I mean, it was so great. It had all these books about spirituality and religion and Eastern philosophies, everything from UFOs to witchcraft to everything. And I just lived there, basically. I read everything I could. And there was this one book that I read that I was inspired by. It was called The Miracle of Fasting by Paul C. Bragg. And it talked a lot about the health benefits and the mental benefits of fasting. So I started experimenting with fasting, and it started out with 1 day a week. And then, and this was just water. Nothing but water fasting, distilled water. And then I started getting into fasting for 10 days 2 times a year. That's why I basically looked like an upside down question mark with hair. And when I was recording For the Love of God, I had happened to have been in the middle of one of these fasts, you know. And fasting it does interesting things. It sort of purges your body of all sorts of toxins and poisons and everything. So you can have these extremely intense bouts of pain. But then at the same time, you can actually have these feelings of intense euphoria and clarity. I don't know why. All I know is that's what happened. And I think I was on the 6th day of this 10-day fast when I had to record this song. And I don't know if some of the intention or the emotional intention behind the melody was a result of this state of mind that I was in at the time, probably, of course, you know. But I sure was hungry. And when I started doing press for this record, I remember just staying, they said, well, what did you do to prepare for the song? And I said, well, I was actually in the middle of a 10-day fast. And very few interviews have gone by since then that I haven't been asked about that. That I prepare in all these weird esoteric ways to record a song. And that I recorded it under a pyramid. Well, that's true too. I had this pyramid. I was really into all this stuff, and I had this pyramid with the exact reduced specs of the Great Pyramid in Egypt hanging over my head. And I was fasting, and I recorded this song, and that's the way it came out. It's fun to do that kind of stuff, and it kind of captures a moment, you know, and it's one of the fun things about recording music and being a musician is to create a moment that you can capture in a piece of music that's a statement of who you were at that time, what were you doing, what was interesting to you, what was important to you, your ideals at the time. And it's wonderful. It's wonderful. And that I was so fortunate that this song actually became one of the ones that seems to be pointed to in my catalog. So that's For the Love of God. And I'm very grateful for it. Matter of fact, the song is all about gratitude.